In this video, I'm going to show you how you can connect different external integrations into Morgen for task and project management. When looking at Morgen, you can see I've got events from my personal and work calendar accounts, and then to the left side I have Morgen tasks, and at the top you can see we've got an all tasks view, which at the moment is only showing my Morgen tasks, but next to the Morgen task source is an option to connect a task integration, which when I click takes me to the preferences, the integration section, and the task and project section. The other way to get to that setting is by clicking on the profile picture, clicking on preferences, and then going down to the tasks and projects section. And from here, you can click on any of the current available options to integrate into Morgen. But each of these integrations are done a little bit different. So if we look at Notion, for example, we can sign in with Notion. From here, Morgen is asking me to connect to a Notion workspace. In this case, I'm going to connect to Brenner's Notion. I'm going to select the pages and I want it to look for all of the pages, so I allow access. And then inside of the Notion setup, I want to connect one or maybe multiple databases inside of Notion. And once I've configured those settings, I can save the configuration. The authentication has succeeded. I will then be prompted to be redirected back to Morgen. So open, and now you can see I have Notion connected to this computer and also the cloud. If I go over to the three dots, I can then edit the account preferences, which will take me back to that settings page. I can reconnect to the cloud, or I can disconnect this account from anywhere. I could do the same for some of these other integrations. So let's say Google Tasks. I'm going to sign in with Google this time, and you'll notice I get the option for multiple different Google accounts. So I'm going to connect one Google account, continue, authentication succeeded. Now I'm going to get redirected back to Morgen, and now I've connected one Google Tasks account. But I could do this a second time or a third time with different accounts. So you could have multiple Notion accounts with multiple databases, multiple ClickUp accounts with multiple workspaces, multiple Google accounts, etc. However, these are cloud-based integrations. Obsidian is a local integration. So if I push on Obsidian, you can see it's asking me to connect to Obsidian locally. So when I push connect, it's now going to ask me to connect a vault, which is a folder on my computer. And so in this case, I'm going to connect my Obsidian onboarding folder, which is on this device only. And then once I'm happy with the configuration settings inside of the Obsidian integration, I can click out and you can see Obsidian is connected to this computer, but not to the cloud. However, if we come back to Morgen, you can see in the all tasks view, I can see all tasks from Morgen, Notion, and Obsidian. But then I get the source view from Morgen, from Notion, with the drop down of the two different databases I've imported. Google Tasks, there's currently nothing in there. And then Obsidian, if I was to drag this task onto the calendar and schedule it, this task, if I double click, you can see is on my Habits Google Calendar. If I then come into Preferences, look at the active calendars, you can see Personal. That is the Habits calendar the task is currently on. When I check the calendar integrations, the Google Calendar is connected to the cloud. So this Obsidian task, even though it's locally stored on my computer, will sync to the mobile device because it's on the Google Calendar account. And so the cloud integrations will sync to the mobile device, but the local integrations will only sync the scheduled tasks through the calendars.